Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and welcome to another fucking lovely rant time. Don't got my face on here. This is actually late night rambling rant time, alright? Basically, because I need to get this off my chest, alright? If this video sounds like a little bit more bitching, it's cause it is. That's what this series kinda is at this point. Let's be serious, it's always been that way. But today we're gonna talk about fucking cliffhangers, alright? Not just in video games, but the idea of cliffhangers in general. So, for those of you who don't know what cliffhangers are, let me explain to you. Cliffhangers is when a story just fucking ends. You know what I mean? Let me put this into perspective. The game you're seeing on the screen right now, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which I never really finished. I actually have the fucking videos for it all edited together. But the game I don't know. There's something about getting to the end which left me really fucking salty. The game is great, by the way. I do really enjoy this game because as far as gameplay is considered, it's basically like Human Revolution, but except notched up to 11, which I can always fucking get with. What it doesn't have compared to the previous game in this franchise is a fucking story that basically begins and reaches an ending. And what I mean by that is something that actually leaves you with some resolution. Basically, for those of you who don't know, this is some fucking plot spoiler moment right now, so, you know, if you don't want to get spoiled by plot, I suggest you go ahead in the video, you know what I mean? But basically, with Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, essentially the game takes you all the way to the end in London, where you have to stop a terrorist attack. And you stop the terrorist attack, and you find out that the Illuminati's behind it, and guess what happens? The game just fucking ends. Now, a lot of people think that ending makes you think, even though for me, it really doesn't make me think, because it just sort of ends the game and sets it up for DLC, which Square Enix really fucking pimped out hard and sold. And I'm not against the DLC either. I'm a Season Pass fucking owner, alright? Fair enough, it was provided by Square Enix, but I played both of the downloadable content episodes. Even they didn't provide the goddamn story that I needed. So here I am sitting on a game franchise which Square Enix themselves has said that we're not going to be making Deus Ex games soon. You know, we're going to put it on the back burner. So you know what? I'm stuck with blue balls at this point because the game didn't fucking sell well enough or something. And now I got a story that's just sort of left me there. It's like going to a fucking... It's like I don't understand the concept of the cliffhanger, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just old, or maybe I'm like fucking stupid, but even other games in my favorite franchise, such as Metal Gear Solid 5, which technically had an ending, no it fucking didn't, because there were so many questions left unanswered that you were just sitting over there just going, alright, I guess I'll go fuck myself at this point, right? Because it's not like I'm reaching resolution anytime soon. Oh, we went full circle? Good for you, but it seems like this game left me with a fucking half chub. You know, games like Halo 2, which I really liked, getting to the end of that game, and it's just like, go fuck yourself, come back on the next game, and we'll hit the play button again. To me, a cliffhanger is like that one guy at a fucking, you're just sitting there watching a movie with your friends. There's that one piece of shit that just hit the pause button, walked out of the room with all fucking control of that thing, and you're just sitting over there. Again, you might as well go fuck yourself. That's the theme of it. Go fuck yourself. That's the theme of this fucking video. Might sound like I'm a little pissed right now, and I am. Because the more and more I play some of these favorite games that recently got released, the more and more I realize they're starting to pimp out these half-ass finished endings. You know what that comes across to me as a fucking game developer? Alright, it's just, here, we're making a game, and then you just got fucking tired halfway in and fucked off. And I guess, at the end of the day, I'm not too fucking different. A lot of my Let's Plays are in cliffhangers, which means they never got fucking done. So I'm not excused from this either. But you realize, as a fucking game developer, you end up fucking dropping 60 into this game. And for games that really push the idea of having a story, because in Deus Ex's cases, it's all a story. There's no multiplayer to hit up on, and I'm not calling breach mode multiplayer, okay? That's a way for, Square Enix to say, here's some microtransactions, bitch, buy them. What I'm talking about is games story-focused, and they end up fucking giving you a half-chub and pissing off. Right? I don't understand the whole concept of it. Here I am playing through Persona 5 again and again and again, realizing that, hey, you know what Persona 5 had? It had a fucking beginning of the story. It had a middle. And then guess what? It had an ending to the story. You know what I mean? Persona 5 didn't just end halfway into the game and say, go fuck yourself, here's the credits, alright? Come back later. Come back in Persona 5-2. Alright? It had an ending to it. Single-player games nowadays, they don't fucking even pimp out the goddamn ending. You know what they do? They leave it open-ended, and people are like, oh, it's an open-ended ending, right? No. See, open-ended is leaving you with an actual ending, but something to ponder on afterwards, right? That's what an open-ended fucking story does. You know what I mean? That's what happens, right? That's what it means. But nowadays they don't do it. They just set it up for a DLC expansion pack. And sometimes in Deus Ex's case, guess what? The DLC expansion pack doesn't tell you shit. So again, I'm sitting over here with a half chub on wondering when this fucking game story is going to progress. Then I find out it's not going to sell anymore because guess what? They fucked up bad with Mankind Divided and here we are. Or they didn't really fuck up. I guess Square Enix thought this game was going to sell like Final Fantasy, which no it wasn't. Let's be serious here. Now, this isn't the only game to do it, too. I was also playing through Assassin's Creed The Ezio Chronicles the other day, and I realized it did the exact same fucking thing as well. In fact, Assassin's Creed is horrible for it. You play through the first game, ends with like an ending where you see like some revelations and that's it. You just fucking walk around like a fuck. Second game picks off. They had this whole theme where like the games just ended on cliffhangers and it picks up where it goes off. Now with Assassin's Creed, you realize that it's like Ubisoft's main franchise, so they're gonna fucking keep pimping these games out, and you know you're gonna get the resolution ending to it, but it still kind of burns you. I remember like seeing a fucking video documentary of like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and they were like, see, the new Assassin's Creed games are like TV seasons coming out. You know, I guess I can kind of get behind the argument, but when the game just sort of ends and it like takes the control away from you and it just gives you a credit screen and tells you to essentially fuck off, it's just a sour taste in the mouth too. And it's a weird situation because it seems like when it comes to gameplay, some of these franchises have really stepped their game up. Again, I'm not saying I hate half these games either. In fact, what I say for Deus Ex Mankind Divided can actually be applied to, say, the Assassin's Creed games too. You know, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, let's take those for example. While they had that cliffhanger bullshit that really fucking pissed me off, gameplay it kept on getting better, right? Because, you know, those concepts you can make and those concepts are what you show at E3 and you push off. But then the story is like the toughest part too. For those of you who don't know, like story can be fucking expensive to produce, right? So that you gotta get actors. It's basically like making a movie in this point, right? The game budgets can reach up to a massive high point. And that's what I think scares a lot of people off. They have such an ambitious idea of where their story's gonna go, but the writing staff sort of shits themselves halfway and releases a product that doesn't really finish. You know, imagine playing like GTA 5 and not having a proper conclusion to it. You'd feel kind of burned, right? At the end of the day, right? I mean, I know I'm bringing Grand Theft Auto as a story perspective into it, but to me, I really do play the GTA games for the story as well. I feel like every year they sort of get better and better. One of my favorite story-driven games of last generation was Grand Theft Auto 4, right? I ended up, the first time I played that game, it was jaw-dropping. I really enjoyed it. I liked the story from beginning to end. Nowadays, developers, you know, whenever it comes to making games or whatever, it seems like they have this third act kind of written, but it gets kind of cut out. And the thing that I'm really against that I've noticed nowadays is the third acts get cut out and they don't even get released in their entirety. They get like reinvented as expansion packs to a storyline. At this point in time, we're buying third acts to video games. It's almost like buying the first act of a video game, first two acts, and then buying the rest later on. Like it's a fucking mobile game or something too. Hitman sort of did the same thing as well. You buy the full game and it came out in like monthly installments or whatever, right? Like a, you know, TV season or whatever you want to call it, you know, Square Enix. But at the end of the day, it just fucking burned the game even more. It kept on ending on these cliffhanger notes, and you were just waiting for more and more shit to come by. When it came time for single-player games nowadays, Metal Gear Solid 5, anything really, and it keeps on handing you a cliffhanger story, it just burns anybody. I don't understand it in movies or anything of that sort. It leaves you with no resolution and a fucking half chub when you're playing a video game. And there is no bigger way to turn somebody off of a franchise than do that shit. There are friends of mine who didn't play a Deus Ex game, for example. They didn't fucking care, you know, but they went in with Mankind Divided once they saw the promotional materials, right? It got them hyped. So when they started playing the game and got to the end, they were like, oh, the game just fucking ends, all right? I'm not going to buy another Deus Ex game, and that's what ruins it. Because they don't fucking have the gall to finish what they start. You just have a game that kicks up and literally ends. That's what happens with Mankind Divided. And a lot of reviewers said it at the time too. You reach the end of this game and it just goes and fucks itself. Alright? And you know what? It's not the only game that did it too. There's many other games that are released alongside with it that ended up doing the same shit too. And it's almost insulting from a game that doesn't have a multiplayer component to it either. I mean, it's just single player. Alright, all your money and effort went towards a fucking single player, alright? It's not like you had to make Deus Ex Team Deathmatch or Ground War or Search and Destroy and like Team Rush or something like that. No, that's not what it is, alright? Fuck, even today, Sonic games have a beginning, middle, and an end, dude. Sonic 06 is more cohesive than some of these games that have come out, alright? At least Sonic 06 has endings, or an ending, or some fucking nonsense. Nowadays, you don't even get that shit. You know what I mean? Games like Final Fantasy 15, which, again, it came out with the whole ending, came with everything. It didn't really finish off on a cliffhanger. You got a story from start to finish. A cohesive fucking delivery. Nowadays, you don't end up getting any of that shit. So, moral of the story is cliffhangers fucking suck. But cliffhangers suck on a bigger note nowadays because it's almost scary to the point because game development has gotten so fucking bloated and expensive for a good reason and several bad reasons. But the problem here is that when a fucking franchise out there that's story driven, that's known for not getting crazy sales, ends up pulling this shit, and then people find out, oh, well, we're not going to make more games to it because fuck, it didn't sell well, then people are just sitting over there with like a really shitty investment into a product, right? And even for games that are really, really popular nowadays too, I find that developers sort of, for some reason, believe that they're right when they do this kind of stuff and they release a storyline that's half finished for a game that is story focused, right? And then they forget that games like Persona 5, that Final Fantasy 15, that full experiences come out and they end up getting more well received. So bottom line is, I think I've ranted hard enough. I don't really have much more to say on the topic other than I fucking hate cliffhangers, and being the tired individual that I'm gonna go fuck off to bed right now because I don't really have much more to say on this topic. So yeah, let me know what you think about these fucking cliffhangers. Let me know what you feel about playing games like Deus Ex, where the fucking third act kicks in. Oh, never kicks in. Or Metal Gear Solid 5, or the fucking Assassin's Creed Ezio trilogies. I'm getting old, I'm getting ranty. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.